Uh,
And we're live.
all right.
What's going on, everybody? This is No Blood, No Foul. Uh, we're back, I guess, a little bit after a bit of a hiatus there. It's me and
Yep.
Moo. We're here to talk about some trade deadline stuff. And what we're going to do is we're going to start by talking about some of the bigger trades that have happened the last few days. So, Moo, I want to hear your thoughts. We're going to start with a small one. Karis LeVert to Indiana for Ricky Rubio, a first and 2 seconds. What do you think about that?
You know, um, I'm a Levert fan, as you can, see on. I thought initially that it was a bad deal for the Pacers, but I think as you look at it a little bit more closely, it's actually not that bad a deal, right? So I think with Levert, he has a lot of potential. He's very talented. But obviously the health is the main concern. If he can, get healthy, stay healthy, I think, they traded a kind of, I don't want to say an all-star, but really a borderline all-star type of player, for, I don't want more quantity than quality. I'm a big, as I've said on the Real Gym site, I'm a big believer in talent. That you need talent to win, right? So obviously the Pacers had him and they were winning, so who knows, right? But I kind of see the deal as more even than I originally thought. Although I am a Levert fan, I would have liked to possibly have the Knicks trade for him. But yeah. What about you?
Well, I'll take the opposite side because I'm really not a big Levert guy. Uh, so here's my problem is you say he has talent and I guess kind of, but here's the issue is that it manifests in a way where he's that kind of ball dominant scorer who's not super efficient. How many of those guys do you really need on your team? Does that really help you? That's my question. So you look at him, and yeah, he's scoring 20 points a game. He has 19 to 20 for the last few years, but he's only shooting around 53% true shoot. So he's not really a super efficient guy to begin with, and you have the other problem of he's only like a 32-33% three-point shooter. So it's kind of hard to. This goes back to our argument about talent versus fit. Yeah, you need talent,
I
but
think you want
if you're
right,
not, but if you're not good enough, if you're not talented enough,
right.
then fit does matter.
That's the Randall argument as well, right? So
Right,
yeah,
right. So it
definitely.
becomes he's simply not talented enough for me to say I don't care about fit. And he's a pretty decent player. You can score 19 a game on 45% from the field. That's not terrible. And once you get into the last minutes of a game, in the playoffs, whatever, true shooting percentage doesn't matter. It's all about field goal percentage, really. So he could help them there, but I don't think he's that big of an acquisition for them. But it always comes with the thing of, like I always say, let's see where the picks end up, who they get out of that, because that's going to be the determining factor. I don't
What
really.
picks did they actually get?
So Cleveland got a second round pick from it's Miami second round pick this year, so that's
Oh,
not going to be too good.
good. Right,
They sent Houston's 2022 second this year, which will be a good second, and Utah's 2027 second, which who cares about that?
right.
We say now, then they'll draft the next Nikola Jokic with that probably. Uh, but they also traded this year the Cavs first this year, which is lottery
Basically that,
which is lottery
right?
protected, but they're not going to be in the lottery because
And then
they're a good team.
right, right,
So
right.
essentially, because Ricky Rubio isn't going to play for them, they traded a first round pick, a second round pick, and a future second for Karis LeVert. I
Yeah, but see
think
that,
I think
yeah.
again it depends on who Indiana gets with the draft pick and who was available for them to get, but I just don't know if Karis LeVert gets the Cavs to contending level. And for me, that's gonna be I don't like it for Cleveland. For Indiana,
It
it's
does
good though.
it does bump them up a bit, right? They're focused on this year. They're surprisingly everybody thought that, they figure, well, let me just add another guy that, can do some things. He's not perfect, but I mean, if you look at that team, do they really need a Levert? Um,
I
who's
mean,
on that
I
team?
that's Darius Garland. Well, they
They
did
have a
lose
lot of
Colin
point guards.
Sexton,
Yeah,
so
yeah. That might be another conversation to be had. Still time, right?
yeah,
But
we'll get into
I
that
mean,
later.
yeah, I think you could argue there's kind of a need. And if you put Levert in that kind of Cavs system, and they're playing a little bit more crisp and up tempo, and he might actually do better. You can hide him by some of his flaws.
And
I
I can't say if he's a good defender or not. I don't know that about him. I'll just assume he's okay and
he's
keep
okay.
it there.
He's the type of player that has the tools for it. He has a lot of athleticism for it, but I wouldn't call him a terrific defender. That's
Yeah,
probably like average,
he's got the
slightly.
tools, but he doesn't have the key to the shed.
Yeah. But a part of that is the system and what you're playing in and how you're fitting in, right? So a lot of it is fit. I think he may have a better time with the Cavs than he's been having with the Pacers. You never know, right? I think it's worth a gamble for the Cavs. If they're trying to win now, they traded no one that would impact helping them win now. So
All right.
um,
Well, now that we
yeah,
spent 10 minutes on that,
sure.
10 minutes on Karis Levert,
Bigger one. Yep.
yeah, let's move on to a bit of a bigger one. Portland traded a guard, and it wasn't who we thought it would be. They traded
Yeah.
C.J. McCollum to the uh, to New Orleans. Now the whole
Mhm.
trade, Portland sent out C.J. McCollum, Larry Nance Jr., and Tony Snell to the Pelicans for Josh Hart, Thomas Satoransky, Nickeil Alexander Walker, who they recently sent to the Spurs, I believe.
Yep.
Didi Luzada, 2020 first and 2022 first and two future seconds. So, what's your initial thoughts on this?
Initial thoughts, I'm still trying to figure out what Portland's plan is. I get the sense that, it looks like they're clearing cap space, right? Because they realize that, hey, we're only going so far with the guys we have. McCollum may be talented, but he's just not a fit, right? And they can't win with them. And so let's shed as many salary as possible, get cap space, and try to attract someone that's going to want to go to Portland to play with Lillard and Nurkic. I mean, look, it's not working, right? It's definitely not working. Whatever they've been doing in Portland is not working. So, hey, give it a shot, right? I don't know how desirable Portland is. I don't know that Lillard is happy about the moves. I don't believe that Lillard is married to Portland, right? If we're talking about a guy that was a Portland native and he's a diehard Blazer for life type of a person, yeah, that would seem to be a good move because now you got all these cap space. Lillard is a popular player. He's talented still. You could probably attract someone, but I don't know how stable that organization is viewed. They're not as bad as the Knicks, right? But I don't know that players around the league are dying to go to Portland and two, playing for that organization. Um,
Well,
and with
there was also the recent thing about them sending out Norman Powell and
yeah, that
Robert Covington, getting back essentially not
not
much for them
that
either.
I didn't understand. That I get, right. That was a pure salary dump, but Norman Powell is not just a salary dump type of guy, right? He's 27, 28.
Hmm.
He's in his prime. He's not a superstar. He's probably not an all-star, but the guy can produce. And I can't believe that you basically just shed his contract. That one was a head scratcher. The McCollum, okay, if you head down this path, yeah, I mean, moving. My problem isn't so much moving the guys; it's what they got for it.
Right. So, and let's just
Yeah,
clear up. So, the exact what they got. They gave up Robert Covington and Norman Powell. They got back Eric Bledsoe, Justice Winslow, Keon Johnson, and a 2025 second. So,
so basically, Keon
let me
Johnson.
just should tell you what I see these
Yeah,
moves as.
uh-huh.
I see this as Portland saying, we're waving the white flag. We're giving up. We're punting. We
Sure.
can't build around Dame. It's too late for that. Because if you wanted to trade CJ McCollum and get a player to help Dame from him, I think the time to do that was like 2, 3, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Time to do
Mhm.
that is not now.
Now
So
it's
when I look at this, I see Eric Bledsoe. That's a salary dump. Justice Winslow, salary dump, 2025 second, that's whatever. Keon Johnson, 15th overall pick, I believe. So it's
You
not
have
the
to.
same as getting a first round pick, obviously, because I hate to compare players to objects, but it's kind of like cars. Once you drive it off the lot, the value plummets, it depreciates.
Yeah.
Once the player is selected, the value of them plummets. So Keon Johnson, it's not the same as getting a first round pick, but
Right.
he was a mid first round talent. He was almost lottery, and I was pretty high on him as a potential guy, as a pretty raw guy. He's really athletic. So you combine that with the fact that they just traded CJ McCollum for, a first round pick and not much else.
Do you
Let's be
think they're
honest.
they're they're actually looking to move Lillard at some
I
point?
think
If not,
I
right?
think what I think how they see it is this season is lost. I'm not quite sure what Lillard's timetable to return is because he's out. He's injured right now.
Yep.
Um, what I'm looking at is on about a month ago, January 13th, they said that they will reevaluate him in 6 weeks. So that'll be like 2.5 weeks from now. He'll be reevaluated. That's not. He's not going to be back in 2.5 weeks. That means that you're looking at least another month, I would say. And he wasn't playing that great to begin with this year.
Yep.
So if I had to guess, they're just saying this year is done. We're just gonna go
Right.
all in on. We're essentially gonna tank
Right.
because they're 21 and
Right.
34, which is only slightly worse than us. But if you can get to that, 6, 7,
Right.
8 range, then you might be able to find someone good. So I think they're just punting this season.
Makes
We might
sense.
see a Nurkic trade tomorrow. Might not. I
You
don't know
think
how they
so?
feel about him.
Mm.
I think they're gonna try. But Dame, I don't think they're going to trade him until the offseason. I
Yeah,
think
they
he
can't
stays
right now.
put.
He's injured. His value's not, probably not
Yeah,
optimal.
yeah. So I think
Um,
the Blazers are going into full rebuild mode. I would be pretty surprised if they do anything but rebuild at this point because you're looking at it as next year. If you don't trade Nurkic, then you have Damian Lillard, who's 32, Yusuf Nurkic, Anthony Simons, sorry,
oh
and
yeah,
really not much else. And Simons is not the best fit next to Lillard. Simons should be more of his own team guy. He should be doing more of the heavy lifting on offense. Plus, him and Lillard is just going to be essentially a worse version of Lillard and McCollum on defense, really.
yeah,
So I
that's true.
think you look at it as I would not be surprised if the Blazers are going full blow it up mode.
Yeah, which does make sense, right? Because the alternative cap space to try to sign someone, I don't think there is anyone that's projected to be available that would, change their
Well,
franchise.
free agency doesn't exist anymore, didn't you hear?
Correct. Yep.
There is no such thing as free
Absolutely.
agency. The
Yep.
only Hail Mary solution for them would be to hope James Harden wants to go there. But that's
Yeah.
it. That's the
No.
only thing they can do at this point, and that's not happening. I'm sorry to say,
But
but
again, I'm kind of surprised that with Norman Powell and Robert Covington, right? Obviously, the kind of bad teams may not want them, but to work some sort of a three-team deal where you could get maybe a little bit, multiple first or a little bit better first or some young player that you maybe can package and move up or whatever, right? Something that can get you closer to securing one of the top guys in this draft.
well,
Right?
I'm
I
just
mean,
gonna
I
say
think
maybe they're really high on Keon Johnson. I don't know.
yeah, let's hope.
That could be it. I mean, you also have to consider that they just re-signed Norman Powell to an extension, 5 years, 90 million. So that's not the most expensive deal I've heard, but
It's not
you
the
have to
cheaper one,
consider that how many teams are going to want to pay him that because
right?
he's a good player, but he's not a star.
Right, right.
So the Clippers, who are all in
That's,
at this point, they're fine with that.
oh,
And
the
then
Clippers! I love the deals for the
yeah,
Clippers.
I think that was a good deal for them, a
Yeah,
really good deal. Then
yeah,
Robert Covington is an expiring, so
right.
how much value does he really have?
True.
I think what we're seeing is it's really a buyer's market out here,
That's true. True.
especially when we're going to be talking about the next trade, which this was the big one. I don't think anyone saw this coming. but it's the Kings, so we should have expected something like this. The Kings,
I don't get it.
they say people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones,
Yeah, but
unless
that's
you're
right.
trapped in a glass house, in which case throw all the stones you
Yeah,
want. But I'm not really pointing stones here. I'm just pointing out that you're in a glass house too, Kings fans. You're, I'm not locked in here with you. We're locked
yeah,
in here together.
yeah. That's true.
So the Kings sent Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield, and Tristan Thompson to Indiana for Demonis Sabonis, Justin Holiday, and Jeremy Lamb, and a future second. Or if Woj is to be believed, they sent two Jeremy Lambs. So I don't know what I don't know where
Yeah,
the other one's coming from. Maybe they
that's
cloned him.
his cousin first.
So
Twice removed.
give me your first impressions. Where were you when Tyrese Halliburton got traded?
Where was I? I'll be honest. Yeah, I was wrong about Halliburton. I didn't think he would turn out to be as good as he has been. I mean, he's looked great. No, no, not superstar great. But still early in his career, right? He's looked terrific. He's the type of player that I would think the Kings would want to build around. Therefore, ergo, the Kings traded him. So obviously Sabonis is, you could say, is more talented, but it's kind of like almost feels like an Isaiah Thomas trade.
It really does.
It does because it's like, oh wait, Sabonis, he's a lot more talented. Let me trade for him, and I'll give the Pacers, some young guys because hey, I went out on the talent. Forget about the fit. Forget up. I don't get Sabonis on the Kings. I don't particularly like Sabonis all that much, to be honest. I loved his dad. Um, I don't think he's kind of like that second tier type borderline star that teams maybe try to squeeze in as a number one. Sound familiar? Um,
Yep.
and I just don't think that he is, the type that you're gonna want to bank on. And I don't even like it from a fit standpoint with that team. Um, so I don't get it. I don't get it for the Kings. I was when they made the trade, I was like, oh, Sabonis. Wait, who are they giving up? Are you crazy? Um, yeah, but it's a typical Kings.
I can explain
Yeah,
it to you here. This is
yeah,
why they did it.
yeah,
Because they're the Kings.
exactly.
They're just like us. We make stupid moves for no reason that you can't explain.
Right. So that,
And it also feels
yeah,
like an Isaiah move because they're using a talented young player to clear the salary of an overpaid, underproducing vet in Buddy Hield.
right, right,
Let me
right.
check. I don't think Tristan
Kristen,
Thompson is getting
Kristen.
paid that much. Um,
He's
he
getting
is
paid less than Nerlens Noel,
just
I
barely.
believe. Okay, about the same, right?
Yeah, about the same. Actually, no, I think he might be getting more. Nerlens is 9 million. He's at 10.
Oh, okay. Same
Yeah,
length.
he's an expiring, so
Okay.
not too bad. But yeah, the thing about this is that I don't know. It's a weird trade because the only thing I can think of is they're trying to build around Fox, but they're
Which,
also there have been rumors that they're not trying to build around Fox. They would rather build around Davion
it's
Mitchell,
right.
which that just seems weird to me. That's the only thing I think of is they're saying, "Hey, we have a 25-year-old. I don't, I don't want to say star because he's not really a star.
This is
He's
not
a very good PG,
right.
very good
Hmm.
point guard.
Yep.
So let's get him a 25-year-old very good center, and hopefully, unkings ourselves because that when did they haven't made the playoffs since 2006 if I recall, the
Hmm.
longest active streak in the NBA.
Yep. Hmm.
Um, so that's the only thing I think
That's
of.
a
So
Vivek Ranadive
yeah,
special.
yeah. Vivek's only been owned them for the past. Has it been 10 years already? 12 years?
It
Let me
probably
think
seems
about it.
like it's longer for
2010?
Kings fans. Yeah.
Yeah, Jesus.
I mean, talk about bad. You moved from like one bad ownership group to even a worse one.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so
Just yeah. I want to make a joke about my Jaguars in here, but I don't think we have time
yeah,
for me to
no,
fully explain how
no,
absolutely terrible Shad Khan has been. But so the thing that it is confusing that they would give up on Tyrese Halliburton The only possible explanation I can see is they view him more like I do, where he's just a very good player. He will be very good, and he's very solid. He's very much plug and play. You can kind of play him next to whoever, and he'll be fine because he
Right.
can shoot, he can create,
True.
he can defend, he can just do
Yep.
everything.
Hmm.
But they don't think he'll be able to do that at a star level. That's the only possible explanation. But even then, it's like you definitely could have gotten something better than Demonis Sabonis for him.
Yeah. I don't see Demonis and Bonus as that star to build around.
Yeah, it gives me it kind of gives me shades of the KP trade where we lowered his value by
Yeah.
adding on the contracts, so we got less in
Yeah.
return.
Yep.
I feel like if they had just traded to Halliburton and I don't know what else, you could have gotten something better. But because they added Buddy Hield to it, and to a
But
lesser
that
extent Thompson,
but that's what I understand. Okay, so you want to shed Heald's contract, right? It's probably a year or two later than you should have. Um,
you should have never gave it to him in the first place.
right. Should have never given to him in the first place. But to do what? I mean, the Kings are like the Knicks. Not many guys are dying to join the Kings.
No,
So you're trying to clear this for what? What are you gonna do? Use the cap space to bring on a bigger contract
yeah.
for someone that's it's kind of like a tread. Just seems like it never ends, and it's something that it's like crazy wheel that you jump on as a Kings fan and you just never get off. I mean, Knicks fans are familiar with that. Um, but it just it's kind of a head scratcher. It very much is. Yeah, okay, you won the talent thing. You didn't really win it by that much. You can argue, right? Because once you factor in Hield, who's kind of talented, and Halliburton, did you really even win that much on the talent thing? No. Um, you now you latch yourself into Sabonis, who's kind of very good, but it's not the
Well, here's the
not
thing: they
yeah.
didn't really lock themselves into him. You know why?
Oh,
Because he
he's
only has 2 years left on his deal after this one. So he could
yeah,
just walk in 2 years, and you got nothing out of trading Tyrese Halliburton.
yeah.
And
That's a
like
good
you
point.
keep saying,
That's a good point.
how many people want to play for the Kings? You're gonna have to
You-
convince him to stay.
Yeah,
Like some
and
team is definitely, as long as he keeps up this production, some team is definitely gonna say, you know what, we can win with him and offer him a big contract.
right.
So
Just not the
your
Kings.
options are either massively overpay him, and he might still not even want to stay, or
Right,
you let him walk for nothing. So it's
right.
not it's not a very long-sighted view from the Kings. I know
Yeah,
a
that's
lot
why
of Kings, yeah, a lot of Kings
it's
fans are very upset, and rightfully so about this. I would be too. I know a lot of Knicks fans are very upset that we didn't jump in and try and get Halliburton. I'm not so much upset because, like I said, I think he's just a very good player. I
yeah,
think he has
yeah,
a pretty hard limit on how good he'll be. I don't think he'll ever be a star, but he'd be
right.
very good, and I would have definitely liked for us to try and get him.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree.
But that's also how it reminds me of the KP trade is because apparently
Oh,
nobody else knew. The Kings did not go to anyone else. They didn't shop Tyrese Halliburton around. They just said,
yeah,
"Hey
yeah. Oh,
Pacers."
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they just said, "Hey Pacers, do you want Tyrese Halliburton and Buddy Hield for Demonis bonus?" And the Pacers were like, "Say no more. We already have it written up."
Yeah, same thing, right? With Knicks, hey Dallas, you want KP? Okay, great.
Yeah, that's just
Yeah,
a sign of just poor GMing is to not
yeah,
even explore
yeah,
your options. It
yep,
wasn't even like
100%.
this was at the trade deadline. They needed to make a trade right then, and that was the only team that they had talked to at that point. They had days before they had to do anything, and you don't even
Yeah,
have to trade Tyrese Halliburton. It's
you
just
don't.
it's just a very head scratching move overall. Now, if it were any team but the Kings, I would now say, but you know what's probably going to happen is the Sabonis is going to become a superstar. De'Aaron Fox is going to play really well with him. The Kings are going to make the playoffs. Blah blah blah. If it were any other team, I'd be saying that just because we're so bad at predicting outcomes. But
Right.
because of the Kings, I feel pretty safe in saying that's not going to happen.
Other than Halliburton, what was the last good move the Kings made? I don't know. Bagley we know was a
Yeah, that
mistake.
was absolutely awful. Like
Um,
horrendously bad.
yeah,
Let me
yeah,
look at.
yeah.
I don't know. What do you think about Davion Mitchell? They took him ninth overall last year. Do you think he was worth that?
I don't know. It remains to be seen. I think. I think I don't know that he's shown enough for them for that rumor to be accurate. And if it is accurate, it's kind of makes it very head scratching. That hey, all of a sudden you take this kid that you just drafted, and has he really even played that much? I don't think so,
Yeah,
right?
he's played in a lot of games. He's played
Has he?
in
Okay.
50 games for them.
What's he putting up? What's the stats?
He's not great. He was always more of a defender.
Right,
Like he was known more for his
like a Marcus
defense.
Smart.
Yeah, he's putting up 10, 2, and 10 points, 2 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 40% from the field, 32% from three, 56% from the line. That's just
That's not a good sign for
oof.
the shooting
He's
forecast.
yeah, he's at a 4.74 true shooting percentage, which let me just break out an old punching bag
That's
here.
bad.
Yeah, that is really bad. Alfred Payton for his career is 491.
Yeah,
But
what
but to be fair, he's still better than Payton's rookie year of 456 and better than Payton this year who's at 404.
I forgot that Payton was even in the league still.
He
Um,
he So, but
wow.
let me also put in the context because I
Mhm.
like to put these things into context. It's not just not just who you drafted and what their draft position was. It's who was taken after them. So
Right.
the five picks after him: Zaire Williams, James Bucknight, Josh Primo, Chris Duarte, and Moses Moody. Outside of
Three of those five
Duarte,
guys are
there's not much there. They haven't shown much, in my opinion. You know,
yeah.
Zaire Williams was always supposed to be a project player. Same thing for Josh Primo. I think he's still 19. Duarte is solid, but he's like 30 already. And Moses Moody plays for the Warriors, and again was supposed to be more of a project.
You're
The
right.
only one that is really disappointing is my boy James Bucknight. Um, he just has not gotten any minutes
Let's
because
if that's yeah.
because the Hornets nixed themselves by giving a bunch of big contracts to mediocre vets, and now they have to play them ahead of their 11th overall draft pick.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of like the Knicks.
Yeah,
Um, yeah. Yeah, I mean that's true. But that's the thing, right? I don't think I think it's just probably just rumor, right? That the Kings really like and believe that Mitchell is the future. And it's not right trading Halliburton isn't a sign that they want to keep Fox. I think knowing the Kings, it's a sign they want to keep Fox.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, probably.
right. But that's the thing, right? You're at a point where, you know, where the atmosphere has been probably not the best, and you're kind of turning. Right, Fox last year was great, a lot better than he is this year. Kind of like Randall, right?
Yeah,
And you're you know, you wait all this time to basically, and I'm sure part of it is because Halliburton and him not being comfortable, not being the guy with the ball in his hand, so on and so forth, right? Um, he lacked. He's getting paid the max, right?
Fox.
Fox,
Yes, yeah, he signed. I
big
I don't
max,
yeah I don't
right?
see the overall numbers, but
Mhm.
it's pretty big. It's
It's
something
big.
like 33 million a year. His last year, 2026, he's being paid $37 million. So
I mean, if he could become if he could get back to the guy that he was last season, then yeah, maybe it's a good deal. But he's the type of guy that a team like the Kings, I don't think, can get the best out of. It's just the kind of vibe that the Kings have had, their ability to not develop players, right? Um, not being able to add players, not be able to build teams. I just, it's a big risk for them to hitch to Fox, which I think is what they're doing. I don't know about the combination of Fox and Sabonis being a really great fit either, but
mm,
um, maybe
yeah,
who knows? But it just really doesn't get them anywhere.
yeah. So you asked what the last good move was
Yep,
for the Kings. Um, are we
2009.
counting drafting Fox as a good move for them?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's it.
so
Right.
uh, so drafting Fox is probably the last good move they
Mhm.
made in
Okay.
2017. Let me just run through you some of their picks, right? So in 2016, they drafted Marquise Chris, eighth overall, but they traded him immediately to the Suns for Bogdanovich and a poo-poo platter of other not very good players. So I think Bogdan was a decent get for Marquise Chris. For an eighth pick, I'm not sure. Year before that, Willie Cauley-Stein, sixth overall. He's not very good, especially for a sixth pick. Year before that, Nick Stauskas, quite famously,
Yeah, that was
eighth
yeah.
overall. Year before that, Ben McLemore, seventh overall. Year before that, Thomas Robinson, fifth overall. Year before that, 2011. I have to look into this one because they drafted Bismack Biyombo and then traded him to the Bobcats for Jimmer Fredette. So, and then before that was drafting DeMarcus Cousins on Hassan Whiteside. So, uh, they've made,
I see a trend.
yeah. Uh, Again, I'm not throwing stones in my glass house. I'm saying we're both in this glass house.
That's why we're okay with throwing it, right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
So
those are
yeah. The Kings are not a bastion
wow.
of good decision making. But enough said about that. Let's get on to the meat of what we want to talk about tonight:
Sure,
the Knicks. So there's been a lot of rumors going back and forth. I'm just gonna go through a few quick. So
sure.
apparently, the one person we're really trying to trade is Kemba Walker. Do you think
Yep.
anyone's gonna bite at that?
No,
No.
no. And I'll tell you why. Right? If Walker, right, Walker's had like spurts games here and there. He's looked really, really, really good. The problem is that and it's not even so much that hey, you'll have one good game and play one bad game and one good game. You could kind of live with that. Is that he can't even play every other game. It's really hard to rely on and add someone to a rotation, right? Even if towards the end of the rotation, if the guy can't play every game and you know that he can't, right? Especially
Right.
if you're heading to play, you need to rely on guys that are familiar and comfortable playing. I think, and personally, I think that's a big part of what has happened with this team is right players get comfortable like they get roles they understand roles and that's how you build a team that can be successful with Walker in and out. I think it was just a disaster. I don't think any team would want him. um, you're better off going with a guy that can't get as many good nights, right, but can at least consistently play for you off the bench. I don't think too many teams are looking for bench guys that can play once every 3 games.
Mm-hmm. All right, yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement there. I don't think he's getting traded. Man,
Maybe
I
as a
really like the
filler.
signing. What?
Maybe as a filler.
Yeah, that's the only thing I think. I really wanted it to go well. I thought he was gonna
Just
be so much better for us, and that we are only paying him $9 million a year. That's a steal. That was me.
I,
I look like the fool now, but
no, but that was the thing. As soon as Danny Ainge was so eager to buy him out of that gigantic contract,
well,
I was like, "Oh
they
crap,
didn't buy
something
him out.
is."
He sent him to Oklahoma City, who
Oh,
bought him.
okay, right.
But like
I
that was the thing is that's what Sam Presti does.
right. It's just it
I
just
think what you're thinking is the fact that Sam Presti was like, I'm not even gonna try
right.
and
Oh,
get
that's right.
assets out
Yes,
of this
yes.
guy.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, I think that should have been a
That was
pretty
a
big red
hint. I was
flag.
like, oh, wow.
But you
Yeah,
know what they say? It's easy to ignore red flags when you have rose-colored glasses. Um,
yeah. That was
Moving on.
yep.
Basically, we've heard all the vets in trade rumors. They said everybody but RJ is gettable.
Hmm.
So we've been hearing some Alec Burks chatter, but
I
there's
think
been the last we heard was that nobody wants him, which makes sense. He's not very good, but we continue to
he's
start on that point guard for some reason.
that makes his value even worse.
Yeah.
Right, and that's that. But that kind of goes into what I've been saying is when you put people in positions they're not good at, they're not best at. You're just asking for failure.
Well,
And
it's
Burks
not
is,
even that. Is that he's just really not that good overall.
I
Like
think
he
if you were looking for a guy like seventh or eighth guy or
Yeah,
ninth,
yeah, that's
right,
what I mean.
something
Is
like
that
that.
people were getting really high last year, being like,
Mhm.
"Oh, he's the sixth man. He's just all that." And I
Yeah,
felt like I was saying crazy pills. Like I'm looking at him, like he does not have the offensive game to be a sixth
yeah,
man. He's a
right,
seventh man at best.
right.
And then
I think
here's the thing: is that
yep,
I called it. Like this was the one. This was really the one contract I was really not a fan of
right.
because we got him for a 1 year, $5 million deal. he put up basically identical stats, and we re-signed him to a 2-year, $20 million deal with a team option on a third year. So
Yeah,
immediately I was
and,
like, if nobody wanted to sign him for $6 million last year when he
yeah.
put up the same exact numbers, why would people want him now?
Every one of the guys that they re-signed, and honestly, even Rose, it
Yeah,
was not necessary. I think it was just excessive. They just they blew their entire wad, bring bringing back overpaying guys, role players that
right.
played above themselves, and then rounded it off by with Fournier and Walker, and that was just a disaster
Yeah.
of an offseason.
Speaking of Fournier, apparently
Mhm.
I cannot say his name. I have been struggling with that all year. I cannot say French people's names. Apparently, and I took French class for
Oh
like
my God.
5 years,
Yeah, me
and
too.
so
Yeah,
apparently I may be part French. I was really sad to
that's
hear
bad.
that, but
It's actually it makes it even worse.
yeah, yeah, but yeah. So apparently he's been shopped around too. As you can expect, his value is not very high. I mean, last year all it took to get him was a pair of second rounders, which I even at the time was like, why didn't we just trade for him? That's a really low price. We could have used him last year, um, but nobody really wants him because again, he's being paid a lot of money. Uh, in my opinion, he's the only one that I I can kind of see him working out if we were able to get that true top tier talent because he can't
yeah,
defend at all. Let's
right,
get that out of the way. But he can shoot, and he can shoot
right,
really well. He's been shooting
right,
very well recently, and
sure,
it's not just those standing catch and shoot threes that like a Reggie Bullock can make.
right,
He's
right,
coming off curls. He's catching
right.
on the
He
move.
moves.
He's
Right,
able to put the ball on the floor and take one,
yep,
two dribbles into a three and still be good at it.
right.
So well, I would prefer to trade him, obviously, but if we can't, then it's not the end of the world. I don't think it's
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem obviously is his contract. It's not so much his
right,
play, right? If his contract was reasonable, I'm sure a lot of teams would be interested.
right.
But nobody's like dying to pay him what 20 million a year for the next 3 years.
Yeah, it's just under 20 million. I think
Yeah.
he only makes 20 million if the team accepts his fourth year.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I
But
think it stays under 20 million. But
but
so it's not
that's
a
the thing.
great contract, but it's not like a complete albatross. It's still
Right.
pretty bad though.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only types of players you're going to be able to get is maybe a different player, a different position that kind of has maybe a year less, right? That is not as good. I think that's your best case scenario if you're looking to try to shed his contract. Just like, shave a year off. You could probably trade in for a guy that's less productive.
See, I know where
Um,
you're going with this.
wh-
We're not
where?
trading for Westbrook.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Yeah, Westbrook
I know you've
definitely.
been
But
asking for that for
what
years
about
at this
Wall?
point.
What about Wall? Would
It's
you
the
take all of those?
it's the same thing we were talking about this before we came on the
Yeah,
podcast. Is it's the same. I have the same thing there. Is that if we're trading for a guy like Westbrook or Wall and expecting him to make us better for a run at the playoffs, we shouldn't be doing that. They're not going to do that for us. What we should be looking at them at is, hey, we can use this guy
yeah,
to get rid of some extra years at the end
right,
of it,
exactly.
use
Yeah,
them as more contract fillers,
right,
and
right,
then either buy them out right away, which we probably won't do, or just let them play out the season and then buy them out at the end of the year.
right,
And so
right.
that way we reset our cap for 2023.
Yeah, I think it's kind of that, right? I mean, worst case, you never know. Maybe they'll spark something and whatever, right? But the definite given is that you know that pretty much, unless rose-colored glasses, right? You know that
Right.
this current mix of gaggle of vets, overpaid vets, are not doing it. So you might as worst thing you do is you shave a year off, and the result is exactly the same, right? If you get lucky and either one of these guys says, you know what, I got maybe enough tank to push it, and it just clicks, and they do something this season, and next season it goes back down the tank. At least you're 1 year less, right?
Right.
Um,
Like I said,
so
that's literally the only reason I could see a trade for them, and that's why I don't really, even though I don't like Burks, Noel, led to a lesser extent, I still like Derrick Rose, but I don't love the fact that he's under contract for another year at like 13 million. Even though that I'm not the biggest fan of trading them for Westbrook, even Fournier, because at most you're saving 18 million off Fournier's deal. If we're gonna trade for Westbrook as a means of cap consolidation, I would prefer to do it for Julius Randle. With that being said, I'm not a fan of just trading Randle to get out of his contract.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I
I think that's overkill.
yeah, I think that is a little bit overkill. You could talk me into it, like if the Lakers are offering their 2027 first or whatever, uh,
Unprotected.
unprotected, yes, of course. You could talk me into it. I
Right.
just don't love the idea of just trading Randall just to trade him.
Just to trade him,
Even
it doesn't.
though, even though,
Yeah,
yeah, I kind of get it. He has not looked good, and it's not just about the offensive production. It's about the whole vibe he's been giving
is
off. It's his lack of
yeah
energy, lack of even
is
trying for most of games. I just don't like that, and I
he's
don't think it's helping.
yeah. I think he's at the point. And I'm sure a lot of this is Randall creates for himself. Whatever's going on in his head, right? It's mental. It's not physical. Physically,
Yes,
he's fine. So whatever's happening to him mentally, and maybe it's the Hawk series. He just never recovered.
yeah. I would,
And it
I
just
would be, I would be against trading him. Period. If he was putting up these numbers but still playing his heart out on defense and being that locker room leader for us.
right.
I just
Yeah.
don't see that, and that's why I would be open to dumping his contract. Um, because you just have to look at it as we're not making the playoffs this year. Let's be real. It's not about getting a better draft pick. It's about building for the future.
Right.
Can we really, no matter who we take, can we really build with them around Julius? I don't know. He's I know you have the whole thing about we need talent, and I agree. But when your
Right kind of
talent
talent.
when you
Yeah,
yeah when your talent when your most talented player is Julius Randle,
that's a problem.
you you can't really win with that unless you have
Correct. Yeah.
very specific circumstances. And
Right.
so the whole thing that I've been yelling about for over a year now is we need that high end number one scorer.
Yeah.
We're not going to get it in the draft. I know that. Unless we get a top three pick, then maybe. But if we're in the draft and we're picking, 8 to 13th, we're not going to get it from there. Let's be real.
Mm.
But I don't think we should just, I don't think keeping Julius Randle is going to be good for young players' developments.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And I know, a lot of the guys on the board may still think that I'm a Julius Randle supporter. I'm really not. Um, but like I said, trading him is fine. Dumping him, nah, it's not right. He may not be working for the Knicks, and his value may be low. But a good front office can convince some team out there that Randall is worth a shot, and get back something that's more than just dump a salary dump. That's what I strongly believe that. A good off right. Whether our front office can do it, I don't know, right? But a good front office should be able to spin 26-year-old Julius Randle coming off the most improved player, and a guy that's talented, right? He's flawed, big time flawed.
Very flawed.
They can spin him and get something, not a salary dump. I really wouldn't do a salary dump. If the Knicks were low, like the Warriors, okay, salary dump, right? But the Knicks are not the Warriors in terms of they got the vets, talent, and they're chock full of young assets as well, draft picks or whatever the hell they have. That's a great franchise, right? If we want to talk about it. Not only do they have the talent to win it all now, they're lined up well, right? So they can make moves if they need to. Once Steph and the gang get older, they're in a good position. They're in a lot better position than the Knicks, to keep it going and turning the hamster wheel and just keep being successful. Um,
Well,
the Knicks don't have
I
that.
think you
Yeah,
can use that as an argument to salary dump Randall because we don't have the assets, and the best way to build the assets is through the draft, and just dumping Randall would be a good way to improve our draft position because even though, like I say, I'm not a big fan of him as number one, we
yeah,
would be a worse team without him. Let's just be
we
real.
would be. Yes, that's
I
correct.
know Obi puts up some good efficiency sometimes, and he's fun to watch, but we would be a worse team
Yeah,
without Julius Randle.
correct,
How
correct.
much worse? I don't know. But we would be worse if we had to rely on Obi full time.
We would,
But
yeah. I mean,
yeah,
Randall
but the big
serves your
thing is that,
purpose.
like I said,
Yeah.
is that if you trade Randall, even if it's a dump,
Hmm.
that's a way to start to restock your assets because now you
Well,
getting better
no, no,
draft positions. Now
oh,
you have
oh,
more cap space, all this, all that, and
definitely. Yep.
and furthermore, I think you run the risk of some cost fallacy in yourself. For people who don't know, some cost fallacy is, oh, I've already invested this much time, this much money, whatever, into this thing. I might as well ride it out.
Hmm.
That's just not
That's
true. You
not it.
shouldn't do that.
Correct.
As soon
Correct.
as
I
something
agree. That
starts looking, as if not as soon as something starts looking bad, but you need to
before,
recognize this is not a good situation. I need to get the
right?
fuck out right now.
The top franchises front offices realize that before, and they make a move beforehand.
Right.
Um, yeah, I absolutely agree. But
So with that being said,
mhm,
let's talk about some of the names we've been connected to.
sure,
I'm just I'm on Hoops like right now to help me like refresh,
mhm,
so I'm just gonna be going in order of what they have. So
sure.
there was some whispers about us maybe wanting Goran Dragic. Um, I kind of hope not. I don't know what that's about. He's
Isn't he injured,
he's
kinda
dealing with
right now?
a quote unquote personal issue, which was basically Toronto was like, yeah, you don't have to play for us. Just go live in Miami, do whatever.
That's a bad sign number one.
Well,
Um,
yeah, well, that's more about the Raptors than anything. They just eh, the Raptors are a much better run franchise than us. Let's be honest.
yeah, correct.
They
That's
don't
the
need
yeah.
him, and all he would really do is get in the way of the young players. So
Honestly, the Raptors, it, right, their head guy in the front office and their head coach would be much better fits than what the Knicks have, and it would be
I would. Do you know what I would give to have Masai Ujiri in
yeah,
the Knicks? Man.
yeah.
Uh, so let's just say chalk that one up as hopefully not.
No,
He's
it's too late.
he has an
Too late for
expiring
that.
contract, so it wouldn't be too bad. But I don't want to trade assets
If
for him.
if they want to swap a long-term contract or two for Dragic, okay,
Maybe they want Evan Fournier for him.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Another one, Harrison Barnes.
Oh,
Uh,
no,
right?
no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Barnes is one of those guys that yeah. You look at the stats. The stats seems to be pretty good, and then you watch him play, and you're like, how the hell did he manage even that? I just not a fan of the player because I don't see that he really does anything well enough to promote winning. Even less so than Randall. Um, I'm not a fan. I've never been a fan of the guy. No,
Hey,
not for
I'll give
Randall.
him this. He shoots pretty well from three. That's about it though.
That's about
That's
it.
all I got.
Right. Nah.
He
No.
only has one more year after this one, so that's not the worst. Uh,
Yeah.
we already kind of talked about De'Aaron Fox.
Mhm.
The only thing that I've heard that we were hearing was potentially Randall for Fox being the swap. I think that's kind of gone out the window now with
I think
everything
so.
versus bonus.
That's pretty clear they're
Unless
going with
they want
Fox.
to make like a front court of Randall and Sabonis, which probably wouldn't work. But
But they're
again,
the Kings, so
yeah, I hate to say that because we're the Knicks, but they're the Kings.
that
Uh,
would be an awful pairing.
yeah, yeah, I know. So that's the only thing that I could think of. I don't know what else they would want from us. I certainly wouldn't trade RJ for Fox, even though
No.
I think Fox is right now is the better player, just because of the contract situation that they're in.
Yeah, the contract is a killer.
Mhm. Yeah, and and the fact that Fox is not a good 3 point shooter, so it makes it kind of hard to work with him if he's not going to be your number one option, which it's
Yeah.
questionable if he can be.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna do Fox, it would have to be because you're keeping RJ and you think that the two of them may be able to play off each other or do something, and you bring in, more shooters or something like that. And you're really high on Fox that, last season's Fox, kind of like last season's Randall is the real Fox and not this season's version
Yeah.
of both. But yeah, no, I would not trade RJ Barrett for him. That's a definitely a no. I would trade RJ Barrett, right? I'm not, nobody on the Knicks is untradeable to me.
No,
Um, but yeah.
I don't think there is a single player that is untradeable in the sense that there is not some theoretical package that I wouldn't accept for them. If you know what I mean.
Yep,
Like
absolutely.
there is absolutely a combination of players and probably draft picks that I
Mhm.
would trade anybody for. It's just a matter of is anybody going to offer this to us? No.
Right.
Like, there
Right.
is a trade package I would have accepted for a prime LeBron James. The question is, would anybody even have the assets to do so? Probably not. And if they did, would they offer it for him? No. So that's
Probably not.
really what untouchable is to me, is nobody's untouchable.
Mhm.
It's a matter of, is it possible I will get the correct amount of value for them? Which I
I
don't
mean,
think.
if you think,
Which,
but if you think about it, right? If the Knicks front office they were going to be able to read players, right? And let's say their read, and let's say they're good readers of players' potential, is that Barry's playing out of his mind right now, and it's something that he can't maintain. Then maybe you can entertain trading Barry because his value right now is high, right?
right.
It's super high right now. So maybe that's the point. You don't want, right? What you want to avoid is, hey, this was just a hot streak, and then next season he falls, down back to earth again, and now you're kind of
What you're describing is how you play the stock market. You buy low,
right,
sell high.
right, exactly. Yep.
Or as these crypto bros call it, you buy the dip. Ugh.
Yeah, yeah. That's yeah. I've been
Yeah,
trying
we're
that.
not. We yeah.
That's well.
Hey, you get your NFTs yet?
Hey, um,
You
yeah.
want to know this cool hack I found about how
What?
to get NFTs? You right click an image and hit save.
Oh man. But,
Anyways, speaking of
yeah.
NFTs, James Harden. Uh, I don't
Oh
know,
yeah.
but I don't know what he has to do with NFTs, but he probably has something to do with them. That's the other big news, is there's been a lot of smoke around a potential James Harden for Ben Simmons deal. Do you believe it?
Yeah, I actually do.
Oh, you
Um,
do.
yeah, I do. Um, Not so much for Simmons. My take on Simmons is that, even at his best, he's, not a guy that I know I would say is worth the contract, right? Right now, wow, I see him. Yeah,
He's kind of invisible out there recently. I haven't seen him make any impact this year.
well, yeah. Um, the problem is, right, Brooklyn's not New York. Okay, great, that's fine, but still, it's Brooklyn. And if you're gonna throw him, I guess you can hide him behind Katie and Kyrie, whatever, if Kyrie decides to play again, right? So
Well,
yeah,
good news on that
maybe,
front. Good news on
yeah,
that front is, uh, the New York City mayor is lifting the vaccine
oh,
mandates or
perfect.
whatever, so
Yeah,
Kyrie should be able to play in home games in the playoffs.
God, yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I think I believe that Harden wants out.
Oh yes, yeah, he absolutely
Yeah,
does.
Whether the Nets should trade him for Simmons, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Simmons. Yeah, I mean, if Simmons does play and his mind is set, does he fit with KD and Kyrie? Yeah, I think actually it does. It can potentially be very good, but you're taking a huge
I
risk
think
on
if
the
you're
guy.
talking about that, right, you're thinking the same way I am. He could be like the
Yeah,
ultimate glue guy for them.
correct, correct,
He can't
correct.
shoot, but you just have to find, two other guys who can shoot, put them on the
Which is
floor. Don't
right.
play him with whoever your center is.
Right, right. And with Katie and Kyrie, they're both on. You could probably have him play at any number of positions, and focus on defending and just kind of ex passing and whatever he else he does well. And he doesn't have to feel the pressure to have to score. And maybe the dynamic is better with two guys that move around a little bit more than with someone like Embiid, which was just not a bad. It's just a bad pairing, right? So maybe it could work.
Yeah,
It, it
I do
you know,
think that Ben Simmons could be pretty good on the Nets if he, wanted to play,
it-
which, well, I don't know if he does anymore. Um,
that's the problem.
yeah, and
Um,
this goes all the way back even to LSU, where, if you remember that, I don't know if you remember, back before he was drafted, as soon as his team was eliminated from the tournament, and even though they had a chance to play in the NIT, he just said, "Nah, I'm good. I'm out," and he just left
yep.
with games left to play to go train for the NBA draft. Which, I can understand being like a business decision for him. But to me, I don't know, I don't want to. I don't like talking about people's character from just what I know about them publicly. But when you combine that with the fact that he's kind of like, yeah, I
Now,
don't want to play. This isn't. We're not. I've hit a small rough patch. I don't want to play. Um,
Yeah,
that to me is like I'm
that's
questionable about that.
that's a red flag. I mean, 6-year-olds do that.
Yeah,
He's a grown man.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I agree. I mean, it could work.
Well,
I
well,
think
well. Let me be fair. I do that too in some video games. Oh man, I've had a slight rough patch. I'm done.
yeah,
I started playing XCOM again recently. Oh, one of my rookies died. All right, you know what? I'm out. I don't want to
yep,
play this mission
yep.
anymore.
Oh man,
but yeah,
Kyle, you're a big kid. That's why.
yeah,
You're a big kid at heart. Um,
yeah. But yeah, I think yeah,
I I
I
I
think Simmons is good. It would be a good fit for them. I wonder if they wanted to trade Harden. I wonder if they couldn't get something better for him though. Like you have to think some team is gonna be like, okay, we can get James Harden. Let's go all in for him, which is what
only
the Nets
thing
did last year.
is, Harden would want to go there, right?
Well,
And that's the whole.
let me just
Yeah,
counter argument that
yeah.
did Kawhi Leonard want to go to Toronto?
No,
Exactly.
but he exited as soon as he can.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I think I don't know who it is, but you have to think some team would be looking at that like, it doesn't matter if he leaves after the season. We could get James Harden. We could go on a run. That could be, it. You have to think some team is thinking that. So
well,
it
let's
is
just think,
possible.
is there a team out there, do you think that is close, but if you add Hard into it, it pushes them over the top for the season?
The Heat.
Okay, maybe the Grizzlies?
I think they would have the assets to get it done too.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a good. That's,
Not bad, huh?
yeah.
I don't know. Memphis, you think?
And maybe he'd be okay with in South Beach, right? No
Yeah,
taxes,
yeah, he
nice
would love
weather.
it down there. They got all sorts of strip clubs.
That's
Uh,
true.
yeah. I don't know. Memphis, maybe.
Memphis, right?
That's a little
Right.
bit more of an awkward fit because Jaws already bought
All
out
right.
on it.
Yep.
But
Right.
I keep saying I think Ja will be best when he's more of the playmaker and less
Oh,
of the
yeah.
shot creator for
Right.
himself. So I
Hmm.
think if you get a primary scorer next to him, I think that's when you really like. That's
Right.
when his teams will do the best. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know who else. Yeah, do you know what would be an interesting one though? Denver, him and Jokic. That'd be
That's
interesting
true.
at the very least. I don't think they have the assets to do it, but I don't know. That would be interesting. I think.
That would be interesting, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I
Um.
don't know. It's yeah.
There are definitely some teams out there that I think would look at that and say, let's think about this for a second.
Yep.
But I don't think I don't know.
The
I
Knicks.
a good one. Um, okay, we're definitely the type to do that. We're definitely the type
Yeah.
to think, well, yeah, we're just a James Harden away.
Yeah. That's the
Yeah,
scary part. I mean,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's.
Uh, I don't know.
Um,
Is Harden CAA?
no, I don't think so.
Okay, then we're not going after him. We're
Yeah.
good.
No. Yeah. Yeah. But
But
yeah.
yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean, wow. The Nets really went from the second seed to the eighth seed in like a week, huh?
that was yeah.
They
That's a
lost
bigger
9 in a
surprise.
row. Jesus,
That's a
I
huge surprise.
understand. They're everyone's injured for them, and
Right.
Kyrie can only play half the games, because because he doesn't want to. Let's be real. If Kyrie wanted to, he would absolutely have gotten vaccinated and be playing right now. He just doesn't want to. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but you look at it. I think if they really wanted to trade Harden, they could get a better package. But I do think they have some of that, like I was saying earlier, sunk cost fallacy. We traded so much to get him. If we get back less than that, that's not worth it. Even though he could just walk for nothing in the offseason, which is looking more and more likely as we go on.
And he's
But
the type that would just leave.
oh yeah, he would.
Uh, Yeah.
He would absolutely leave. um, I just think that's kind of funny though. Like whenever I think of the Nets now, um, the fact that they spent so much and were so like hyped up to get to get these guys, and like they spent so much trying to get Harden. Like, man, if that doesn't work for them, and he leaves, and they can't get, and they either don't make the playoffs this year, which could happen, legitimately could happen with how much they're losing, or if they
Right,
get bounced in the first round because they had to face the Heat or the Bucks because they fell to the A seed. It's
right.
like it's kind of like that meme of Thanos like wiping the blood off. All that for a drop of blood. All that for one playoff series win.
That would be hilarious. That would make up, kind of compensate for a season that the Knicks are having, just to see the Nets kind of.
Like I'm just gonna say, even the Clippers won three series with the Kawhi and Paul George thing.
Yep.
They
Yeah.
got to the conference finals at least. The Nets haven't done that yet.
Yeah, and it's just it. I mean, you would think with two of the top talents and KD and whatever, but I think it comes down to play and a good comp would be the Heat, right? If you look at a team like the Heat or a team like Memphis and compare it to the Nets, they're playing at a different tempo and a different intensity, right? The Heat and the Grizzlies compared to what the Nets do. The Nets, a lot of times it seems like, right, they're so relying on those two guys that the rest of the players just kind of like, okay, I'm just here to ride the coattails, right? Um, and then if those two guys don't produce, and Kyrie at best can produce only half the time, things are not happening. That's probably why Harden wants out. He sees the dysfunction, and he sees, this team doesn't have the type of, you know, fight to win, because and that's probably why he wants out more so than anything else.
Well,
Right.
here's the problem, right? Is that it isn't just that. It isn't just KD, Kyrie, and Westbrook aren't playing. Like they don't have Joe Harris either. Like Joe Harris has been out since November 29th, and he still doesn't have a timetable to return.
Fournier, trade him Fournier to the Nets.
Yeah, maybe. But so the in terms of minutes played, the most minutes played by a net this year is by Patty Mills, who has 8 more minutes than James Harden,
Which is
who has
not a
300
good.
more minutes than Kevin Durant. Their number 4 guy,
Uh,
DeAndre Bembry. And let me just say, no
that's not good.
disrespect to Patty Mills or DeAndre Bembry, but if those two are in your top four
You're
for
in
minutes
trouble.
played,
Yep.
you're not gonna be a good team. Like Patty
Hmm.
Mills is a very good role player, but I don't want him to be playing the most minutes out of anybody on my team,
Right.
especially if I have Durant, Harden, and Kyrie.
Right.
And I actually
Yep.
saw something really funny that was did you know that James Harden has played more minutes as a Brooklyn Net than Kyrie Irving has?
Really.
Yeah,
That's kind of surprising, but not really.
yeah. Kyrie is at oh, Kyrie just passed him actually. Yeah, but they're pretty much neck and neck, despite the fact that Kyrie showed up a year earlier.
Oh God,
Yeah. Uh,
it's a
so
shame.
that was that was our shit on the Nets portion of this.
Yes, which
Another
we should do.
speaking of, I just remembered a
Yep.
couple of ones. There was some talk about us potentially trading Mitch to Detroit. I don't know who we
Oh
would
yeah.
want from them. Um,
Hold on. Let's bring up the
yeah,
Pistons.
go to the old b-ball ref. Um, the only
Hey, Cunningham. No.
yeah, yeah,
Um.
Jesus. The only thing one I could think that would kind of make sense because he's really not that good, but I could see why people want him as a reclamation project is Killian Hayes. Uh, he's not good. I was really high on him coming in. I do think he has potential. Like if you watch him like coming into the league, he does have the ability to make some of these shots, but he just cannot do it on a consistent basis. And really, that's all it is. Is can you? It's not can you do something every once in a while. It's can you do it consistently, and he can't. But he's only 20. Um, the only other thing I think of is that they're trying to trade for Jeremy Grant, which would be the dumbest thing outside of trading for Westbrook.
Yeah. I just scanned. the Pistons roster, and okay, so there is another team out there that has less talent than the Knicks.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow, that's a
definitely.
terrible team.
Yeah.
How do you remain so terrible
Sadiq
for
Bey
so
is
long
pretty
and not
nice.
have?
Sadiq Bey is pretty nice though.
Yeah, but you
I
know,
mean, he's only shooting 38% from the field, yeah, but
no,
only
no,
40% last year. But he's a legit defender. He's not his 3 point percentage has dropped from 38 to 34%, but he's a legit 3 point shooter. He's a legit 3 and D prospect. If we moved Mitch for him, that might be another option.
pick.
But again, that's
Need a
he's a
draft
pretty
pick.
low ceiling guy.
Yeah, that's the thing. I like Stewart too,
Oh
but
yeah,
um, and they're kind of old school guys, right? So they would be great on a team with an elite number one scorer, which the Knicks don't have.
yeah,
So it would just end up bogging down, I think, the
yeah.
system.
The,
I don't
the
know.
the other the other one that just
Yeah,
popped into my head that I remembered is we were in talks to get Mo Bamba, which I was really confused by. Not because I don't like the guy as a prospect. I think whenever you have a guy that athletic, that good at shot blocking, that can shoot threes, I think that's like I want that guy on my team because that's kind of the ideal center for me, a
mhm.
guy who can do that. But the reason I was confused about it was because the reason we would get him is because we don't want to extend Mitch, but
Yeah,
he
extend
needs an
him,
extension too. They're both
right?
need an extension after this year. The
I
only the
yeah,
only thing I could think is that we would get his we would have bird rights and he would be a restricted free agent where
well,
Mitch
that's
is
true.
unrestricted. It's literally the only thing I can think of. But all that's doing is saying, yeah, we're just gonna pay you a lot more money. It's like
Yeah, I mean,
that's the only way I see that going down is we end up paying Mo Bamba significantly more than we would have paid Mitch. And while I think Mitch is a better player right now, like I said, that combination of shot blocking and 3 point shooting is something that I really want in center. The reason why I don't want to do that is because he is so far away, and yeah, I don't love spending a lot of money on a center
right.
where we are right now. If he's your final piece to the team, I think you can afford to say, all right,
Or
we'll overpay for you. If
right,
we're just
or
starting the build, no.
mhm. Yeah, I think if we already had like two or three young guys that you could say, well, yeah, they're definitely the core of the team. Then adding Bamba, okay, yeah, I mean, so I agree. But right now it's kind of RJ and it's a lot of question marks.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think it's the right time. Bamba has looked great in Spurs when he's playing really well. He looks terrific,
he
right?
he
But
has he has a lot of potential in my
yeah,
opinion because again that combination of size, shot blocking, and the ability to hit threes.
yep, yep,
He's like a better Miles Turner in terms of
yep.
a
Oh
prospect.
yeah,
Miles Turner is
that's
the better
strong.
player, and we've been linked to him a bit. I don't
Yep,
know if we're getting
yep.
him. Yeah, another interesting one from the Magic, or interesting in air quotes, is I've heard a little bit of whispers about Cole Anthony. I don't love that. Like, I'm just gonna be real. I think Cole Anthony is one of those guys who's just putting up big numbers because he has basically freedom to do whatever he wants.
Hmm.
So I'm not in love with that. But then again, it's the same thing. It's kind of similar to what I said about Killian Hayes. Is that when you watch him, yeah, like yeah, he has all the tricks in his bag. It's a matter of he can't do it consistently yet to be a consistent scorer. If he could put it all together, he'd be fine. It's a matter of do you
That's
believe he
a
can? Because
yeah,
he
that's kind of a
can't right
risk.
now.
That would be kind of a risk. I think the Knicks would be better off. Um, right? If they really, and it looks like the Pistons will have a ton of cash space, so they could probably sign Mitch outright, right, and not even bother with a sign and
Yeah,
trade.
yeah.
Mitch doesn't sound like he's exactly married to staying, and then I don't know that the Knicks want to go crazy to keep him. Maybe they
Mhm.
do. I don't know. So maybe trading Mitch now, not so much for whatever pickings that the Pistons have, but maybe I don't know. You think Indiana would be interested in him?
And Mitch,
Yeah,
I don't think so.
no,
They
okay.
already have Miles Turner.
Well, maybe for Turner, right, in
Yeah,
some sort of it. a swap deal.
Yeah, but you're gonna have to pay Mitch probably more than you're paying
Mm,
Turner, and he's unrestricted again.
right.
So it's just I don't know. The only
That's
the only other thing I can think of right now is that I've heard something about we might be talking with Houston. There wasn't anything more specific than that. I don't even know who they have that we'd want. Um,
Jalen Green.
yeah, besides him, obviously.
Right.
I know some guys really love Christian Wood. He's not really my cup of tea. I don't think. I just like my centers to be good on defense, and he isn't. He's a pretty good scorer though.
He's a versatile scorer, and his contract is, pretty
Yeah,
reasonable.
yeah.
But
I
yeah,
wouldn't. I wouldn't be like. I wouldn't be despondent over it. Like I wouldn't be. Oh, this is the worst move the Knicks have ever made. Blah blah blah. That wouldn't be me. But I'd be like, yeah, I don't love it.
that would be a Mitch trade to get him.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's the only thing I can maybe think of. I don't know. I don't know though because they have Sengun, who they probably
yeah.
they who is really good. Who's been pretty productive in limited minutes. The let me tell you who I think it would be though. Eric Gordon,
No.
who is
Heck
basically
no.
who is the same contract as Fournier except without the last year team option.
Oh yeah, the Knicks. Right. So kind of getting back to what you were talking about. I don't think the Knicks should be moving players that have value in a package just to get rid of contracts.
We don't have any players that have value.
Okay, then that's safe.
I mostly joke, but
Yeah,
that's a lot of what we've been hearing. Like I think they said specifically that they have taken calls on Cam Reddish, but the thing that's hard about him is he can't be packaged with anybody. He has to be traded straight up for something. And as we've seen, he does not have much value. So I don't know what you would even
right now.
get for him. And it would be a really bad look to have traded a first round pick for a guy, even though it's lottery protected, and then turn around and trade him again for if it's not for a first round pick, that would be a really questionable
It
decision.
would be egg on face. Yeah, they wouldn't
Yes.
do that. I think, you know,
That would be cutting off your nose to spite your face.
that would be awful.
That would
That
yeah.
would.
Other than that, I can't
Oh,
think of
one
anything
one
else.
guy that might be interesting that's on the Rockets. He's a kind of a head case, but
Kevin Porter Jr.
yeah, the guy's talented. So
He has talent, but I don't know, questionable.
yeah,
Again, I could see it. Um, but again, I don't love any of these moves.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't think
sure.
we've talked about a single trade that I've been like, I love this. I want to do this. I
There
would
is not. Yeah,
give me
there's
this trade now. We
nothing
have
that's
no
been
good options here.
no. But it's still, maybe just to make a trade to just stir things up a little bit, free up some roster spots. I don't know. I think that might be the.
We need to free up some roster spots. Like
I think that's
Jesus,
about. Yeah, that's about it. That's the only thing that we can hope for.
it is just
Um,
so dumb what we did.
yeah,
Everything about this past off season to here has just been so dumb.
yeah.
And
Um,
like how Tibbs didn't even want us to trade for Reddish, yet we used a first on him anyways. Jesus. So he's not getting playing
uh,
time because Tibbs doesn't want him. But whatever.
and that's the thing, right? You have to force his hand by trading away the guys that he's playing. Burks, right? Burks right now is the
See,
is the
you say that, but he's just gonna respond by shortening the rotation.
trade the entire rotation.
He's gonna find a way to play Alec Burks 50 minutes a night.
Oh my God, that's where you get rid of Burks and um
If he could, I'm sure
Fournier.
Tibbs would try and break Wilt's record with Alec Burks of minutes played per game.
No, move Burks and Fournier if they could do that. That'll open up spots for Reddish, Grimes, maybe McBride. Something. Get more minutes from those guys and see what you got. Energy, right? If they're gonna lose, you're gonna lose. Unless you want to end the season on a positive note, right? Because if you're playing the young guys and you lose, it's okay because the perception is you're trying to get what you can and see what you have so you can move forward, right? I think everybody would be fine with that. The problem right now is they're playing these old guys that are supposed to win because you spent all that money on and you're stinking,
Exactly.
Right. So, yeah, I agree.
Well, I guess our only hope now is for Roka Shokubaitis to come over and save us.
Oh my, do they still have that? What Samanik? Do they?
Lucas
I was
Samanek? Yeah,
watching
he's
it.
still playing in G League.
Okay.
He's
He
not
was,
very good. That's why. That's
that's a
why he's
problem.
still down there.
That's why he's
He's
still
good in
down
the
there.
G League.
Hmm.
But serious talk is, I know this is we're not. This has nothing to do with trades, but Rokas has been pretty good over in Spain. You know, nothing amazing like Luca was, but
Right.
putting up solid numbers for one of the better teams on in one of the better leagues out there. As I think he's like 20, 21 years old, so he could be a rotation player for us next year. But
If
again, he would be
yeah,
buried on the bench.
he would be buried.
He's behind McBride in the rotation.
Yeah,
You
I
know
mean,
what I
what?
just have to say this because I
Mhm.
haven't seen anybody else talk about it, and it was the dumbest thing. I know everyone's talking about Tibbs leaving RJ out there for the last 30 seconds and almost getting him seriously injured, but what I just haven't seen anybody else talk about is the Nuggets called a timeout with like a minute 50 left, right? And we made no substitutions. The moment that play
That was
started,
hurt.
Deuce got up and went to score table. It's like that's the dumbest thing to me because why would you do that? What is the point of leaving guys out there after a timeout just to immediately put someone in? Like, I don't get that. Why would you do that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think at this point there's some serious. This front office has got to do some serious something, right? They have to figure out what exactly they want to do. It just doesn't seem like they have a strong, firm idea of what they want to do,
Right?
and
They
they're
don't
just
even
kind of
have a weak idea of what they want to
yeah,
do.
they're just kind of playing it by ear, and I have no idea. Um,
All right.
I
Well,
yeah,
on that note, I think that makes as good of sense as any to end on.
you got it.
This has been No Blood No Foul. I'm Kyle. That's Moo. The Knicks suck.